up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Deformation Space Recording Alliance, their version of a Masterpiece blaster. So this is the second figure from Deformation Space. The first one was their Crimson Wings, their version of a Masterpiece Starscream. And then they repainted that into, of course, Skywarp and Thundercracker. Now we've got this guy, DS-02, their version of Blaster. It is very similar in terms of the build quality and the paint. It is 100% painted, so all of the red, yellow, gray, and black that you see is paint. It is a matte paint, similar to what we got before. So it does scrape a little easily, so you just want to be careful, but it does look nice all around. Just you got to be careful with those scrapes. Here's the back. Very nice and clean all throughout. Really a perfectly clean bot like they've done before. And apparently Deformation Space is also the same company as Transform Element, so their Optimus was the same way, right? Very clean all throughout. You do get a little bit of glossy red here on the thighs, on the front and back of the thighs, but other than that, everything is this matte color paint. You do get some accessories here, so we get these copper colored speakers. You get 2 of those, and to use this you can open up his arms here just because it's really tight, so I'm just going to use a spudger to get in here. There we go. Get that open, and then you're going to take the hand. You got to open these up, let them sit kind of more straight like that, and now this should fit under there. Okay, and then you can close this up, close that up, give that a nice squeeze, and now you've got this little peg here, and that'll allow you to take these and attach them onto his hands. And there he is, blasting out some tunes. Looks good. I like those accessories. I think they're painted nicely. So there's his standard face. It doesn't come across camera that well, but it is also just a little bit awkward. But there it is. He's got nice metallic blue eyes. So to get this off, it is a little bit tricky. So I would recommend using a spudger to just make a little bit of space between the face. You know, get it slowly moving up, and then once you've got some space up here, just move it off. You don't want to break the pegs that are back there, and it is tight, especially at first. You're gonna have a hard time getting it off, but go ahead and take that off so you can see the eyes. They just kind of sit there, but they do sort of peg in. Let me get that out. So here are the eyes. There's a little notch on the bottom. So that notch on the bottom fits right there. So put the eyes back on here. This is, I found, the easiest way to replace the face is to leave the eyes there. And then we'll take this alternate face here. So there's the standard face. And get that pegged in here. And you can squeeze that back on there. Just don't squeeze it all the way, because then you'll have a hard time getting it off again. So I would recommend leaving a little bit of a gap up here. You know, you don't have to get it super duper tight. But there it is with the smiling alternate face. And of course, what good would Blaster be without his blaster? So here it is, nice matte black paint. Again, more matte paint. Really nicely sculpted and detailed. You can get this into his hand, so go ahead and open this up. Typical Masterpiece style, it's got the tab there. Get that in. And you do want to fit the trigger finger right there. So you kind of have to close the hand a little bit to get that trigger finger in. So you can see how that goes in. It does really look like he's pulling that trigger, so I like how that works. I like how that looks. There you go. All right, now let's take a look at a Ramhorn here. So here he is. He didn't have a name on the instructions or on the box, so I'm just going to call him Ramhorn. He does have the nice missiles here painted in gold. They're just tabbed in here. They're a little bit on the loose side, but they do fit and they do stay on. He's got a little bit of red paint here, and let's get the horn folded up. Red paint here for the eyes, a little bit of silver gunmetal here on the abs. This is for the tape mode, but there you go. It's got some articulation. The head can go up to here, back to there. If you lift up the horns, it kind of fake a mouth there in the front. You have a leg bend here at that joint, and then 2 pins for the feet. Feet are a little bit loose. I would prefer it to be a little bit tighter, but it's okay. Hind legs are the same. You got a pin here and then 2 pins for the feet. The tail can swing up and down and knock this over, but these can rotate around in whatever direction you want them to be. So pretty nice articulation. Let's get them transformed. So go ahead and take these off. Take the feet, fold those in, fold that in, fold the feet in, fold that in. We're going to unpeg all of this. Now you may need a spudger to get the head apart. It is somewhat tight at first when you first get him. And you're going to unpeg from here and here. There is a little tab right here that holds the head together. You don't really need it, but this tab fits in this slot. It does secure it a little bit better, but I recommend you don't do that because you don't need it. It's unnecessary. Fold the horns inwards. Take these ab pieces here, and these are going to slide inwards and then fold up and in. So do that on this other side as well. Take these, and they're going to slide down on the neck and then in, down and in. Take this piece here. That's going to fold up and out to fill in that gap. Take the legs, unpeg them from here. These are also going to fold inwards, fold up and inwards like that. Then we're going to take this entire panel. This is going to fold all the way over. The tail's going to fit in that little cavity right there. So just make sure that makes its way in. Kind of has to get in there, but a little bit strange. I think it's actually upside down. So let me see. Let me try it the other way. Yeah, it looks like it fits better this way. Okay, so there you go. Should fit nice and flush. Looks like it was installed upside down from the factory. And then last step here, you're going to take these. Now these should only fit one way, I think. Yeah, so there's a little notch right there. So that's going to fit in between there. Same on this one. And there you have Ramhorn in his tape mode. You can see those little pieces there make up the the wheels of the tape. There's this side. Looks pretty nice. Now, there is a problem here. It is a really, really tight fit. So this is the button to open the chest. This is the button to release this piece here. So before I put them in, I'll just show you that. Push this back. Make sure you push on both sides. Push that all the way back. And it does have space for 2 tapes. Now, this guy is a perfect fit, an exact fit. It doesn't have any wiggle room. You got to get it perfectly in there, and it's really tough to get out too. So get it fit just straight, and you're gonna have to push both sides in. Unfortunately, it's really, really, really tight, and I don't like the feel. I'll probably never do this again, but there you go. I got it in there. Close this chest up, and then again, the chest it's also very, very tight. But there it is inside. Now, unfortunately, the fitment is just tough. So the only way to get that out now is to open it up from back here. Because if I eject this, there's no way. There's no way to get that out. So you're going to come to the back here. And you do have to release this middle chest piece here. So you're going to press down on the middle. This is another button right here. So this is going to release the middle chest. And kind of push this forward to give yourself some room. And you're going to have to use a spudger or something to push the tape out. That's really the only way to get it out. It all just kind of gets jammed in there, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it works. So you can push it out on both sides. You can see I popped it out. So there you go. Not too bad, but unfortunately not the best fitment there in the chest. But there you go for the tape mode. All right, now let's take a look at his articulation. The head can go down to there. It goes up to there if you lift it up. It has a very similar joint compared to the Starscream, right? That little piece there that rotates on a ball joint, but it's also on a swivel, so it swivels up and down and then rotates all the way around. So you can get it kind of in really almost any position. It's just a little bit awkward to work with, but it works. The shoulders rotate all the way around on that nice tight ratchet. They go up to here on this joint, but then the entire joint itself can go up. So you've got some pretty good movement there on this. And that's not for transformation. So they included that just simply to be able to get his arms all the way up and out. So you get some nice movement out of that. The shoulders rotate here. It's very, very tight. So I recommend holding this and holding here and rotating. Extremely tight joint. I don't know if it's due to the paint tolerance or what. Double jointed elbow. So I recommend you bend at the top elbow first, then bend at the bottom elbow. And then going back, same thing, bend at the bottom elbow and the top elbow. But you do get the full movement there out of those. The wrist can rotate here. Fingers are individually articulated at 1, 2 pins. So you can get him pointing. Then the thumb is on a ball joint and 1, 2 pins as well. So you can get some expression out of those hands. It's nice. Showed you the chest plate. That opens up the chest. This opens up the sliding piece inside. You do have a waist swivel. It is right here. A lot of people are probably going to miss it because it's super duper tight. So you can rotate like this. But he does have a waist swivel. It's just very, very tight. It does loosen up over time after you start manipulating, but it's going to take a little bit of loosening to get there. You have an ab crunch, so I'll show you from the back how it works. So there's 2 places where it comes out, one here and then one here. So that's really nice. I like how that works. It's like an accordion style. That's nice. You have drop down hips. I recommend not rotating the hips until you've dropped them down. So drop them down, just shimmy it down, and then rotate the hips up. Otherwise, you're going to scratch up this paint or both. So bring that down. You get it down to there, back to there, out to the side. You have a rotation at the thigh. And get this back up here. You have a double jointed knee. So again, I recommend bending the top knee first, then the bottom joint, and that gives you the full bend there at those knees. Really cool. Ankle tilt. No back and forth, very similar to the deformation space where you get this direction, but that's about it. And then the toe can go upwards, so you can get him into a walking pose if you need to. But that's it for his articulation. And for size comparison, there it is next to the Transform Element Optimus Prime. Supposedly the same company here has made both of these figures. They do feel very similar. And here's another comparison with the Fans Toys or Robot Paradise Acoustic Wave. These look really good together. And of course, there's a comparison everybody wants to see. The KFC Transistor, their version of Blaster. This is the original color, the metallic red. Interesting. We are going to do a full versus, so I don't want to get into this too much, but my initial feeling is this is definitely an upgrade, at least for me personally, but we'll take a more objective look at it in the versus. All right, now let's get this guy transformed into his tape deck mode or boombox mode. It is a little bit involved, but honestly pretty easy transformation, especially compared to the Deformation Space versions of the Seekers. So go ahead and open up this. You may need a spudger to get in here. Sometimes that panel could be a little tight. We're going to take this hand. We're going to rotate this down like this. This is going to go in with the flat side on the bottom. Now, I saw other transformation videos and they didn't do it that way. I think that's a mistake, but go ahead and straighten out the fingers. And then you're going to fold these back. And really, you want this surface as flat as possible so that you can get it in and fold it up like that. That's how you want it to look. All right, then we're going to rotate the arm. And this is going to go up this tab right here. It's going to end up into this slot right there. So fold that up and tab that in. And that's one side done. So it should look like that. So go ahead and do the same thing on this side. I'll go a little bit faster. Untab this, rotate the hand, fix the fingers so that they're nice and flat, and then rotate the hand inwards. Rotate the arm to the outside. Fold this up, tab it in on the back. All right, next we're going to take care of the back. So go ahead and take this, unpeg it from here. We're going to rotate this out from inside. And don't open this up just yet, you don't need to. Unpeg this from here. This is going to rotate 180 degrees. Take the head. Now, I saw in one video they did it this way. I think you could turn it around and that'll give you a little bit more room because there's plenty of space here in the chest. All right, so fold that down, bring this up, and this is going to tab in right there. Let's get that tabbed in, and that's what it should look like from the back. Don't open this up yet because it's just going to get in your way. It's going to be an annoyance. Pull the legs down on the drop-down joints, all the way down to there. Rotate the legs up, and now we'll take care of all of this. So you got to get in between here. At first it's going to be very tight. Mine is loosened up now that I've done it a few times. So this tab is going to be really tight in there because they're both painted surfaces. Right, go ahead and open up this and you can kind of see what's in here. Reach into here and you can just use a finger and grab this and fold that out. And we got to get this all squared away. So this is probably the hardest part, is right here. You got to clear this. So this edge has to clear. Now, you may be able to get a little bit more room by pulling this down. So this little panel here. Then open this up, and then this has to clear across the front of the foot. It just has enough clearance to get by there. All right, and once you get that, you can fold that foot up, fold that inwards, and it should sit nice and square inside here. Come over here, we're going to rotate this piece 180 degrees, and then that's going to fold down, and you can see that makes the front there. Lift this panel up, this black panel, and that's going to rotate all the way around and come back down and sit like that. So you have a nice flat piece. Right? So now we can take care of this. So it should look like this. You should have the screw facing the front, and then the leg should be up. And if you don't have it straight, you can bring it up a little bit on this joint here, but it should look something like that. We're going to fold it right here on the knee. It doesn't feel good the first time. Trust me, just give it a little support. But it doesn't feel good, but that is what you're supposed to do. Go ahead and open up this panel right here on the arms. And it's a little tricky to see. It's actually a really nicely done seam. You can see that seam is pretty tight. All right, and that's going to fit into there. And you can kind of see how this is going to come together. But rotate this tab to the inside now. And get this set up here. And we can basically hold off on putting this tab in. So we're going to do the other side as well. So I'll do this one a little bit faster. Try to do it faster anyway. Open up this tab, open up this, fold out the handle, fold down this tab right here. That'll allow you to get this just out of the way of this panel, so you can open up this panel, and then allow you to fold the foot back in and square that off in there. Rotate this panel around 180 degrees, fold that outwards, lift this up, rotate this 180 degrees, and then bring that back down, and it's going to sit just like that. And now we're ready to collapse this. And actually I forgot one step here that's easier to do now than it is to do later, so I'll show you on this side a little bit differently. So lift up here on this panel, and we're going to rotate this panel. So lift it up off of here, it's tabbed in, and rotate this around like that. All right, so it's going to sit like that. Oops, sorry about that. All right, then from the front, go ahead and rotate the leg at this joint. Give it a little support. I'd just be careful with that. And bring the leg in so it becomes 90 degrees. Open up this panel here on the arm, and that's going to fit right into the side of his leg. And if you see things aren't lining up, it's because of the alignment of these legs. So get these as straight as you can down here. All right, now that we have that all in, we're going to take this panel here, open this up, rotate this around, and be careful, don't pull here, hold here. It's on a very thin joint there, and I don't know how long that would last, but you're going to fold this down. It's going to tab into his butt like that. And now we're going to close the whole thing down. So close this panel, and it's going to tab in, let's see, a couple places. So this tab right here is going to make its way into here. And then this tab you're going to fold in, and that's going to make it right into that slot that we opened up by folding down that crotch panel there. So we'll do one at a time. So go ahead and do this side and get that all lined up. All right, and then go ahead and take the other side. Same thing, bring this down, peg that all in. Give this a nice squeeze right here in the center. That's what needs to come together, and then this is all going to squeeze together as well. Come to the back here, and this is the one I mentioned. You probably should have done this before, but you can still do it. It's just easier to get at it before you fold up the leg. But fold this up, rotate this around, and we'll give this a little squeeze. Open up these panels here. these are going to fold out and tab in right there. There's not a lot behind it supporting it, so you kind of got to give it a little bit of support. We're going to squeeze that together. Same on this side. Fold this down and squeeze this together. And that kind of holds it together the back. There's two tabs here on the inside, so those are going to hold the inside of his body together. You're going to take these handles, fold these up and out. And this is over under, so you're going to just get this together and just straighten up these handles. And final steps here, go ahead and take this, and that's going to fold down and tab back in. And then up here, make sure these black pieces made their way into the silver. And then give it a nice squeeze, get everything kind of squished together on both the front and the back. And there you have Recording Alliance in his boombox mode. Really cool looking. Came together very nicely. There's the front, nice and clean. You still have all matte paint. Unfortunately, there's no shiny paint. There's not a lot of little accents on this one, like down here. There is the black paint here and here, but the rest is pretty clean. There are some little buttons and stuff here and there, but they're not painted, they're just sculpted. Here's the back. It is relatively clean back here. These panels help to hide. If you look from the bottom, yeah, you can see some things, but from the back, it's pretty darn clean. You can open up this, of course, and you can, of course, put ram horn in there. I'm not going to do it again. As I mentioned, I wouldn't recommend putting the tape in there and taking it out too many times because it's going to be damaging. But looks really good. He is dying for an Autobot symbol here. So there is a button right here. It doesn't do anything. It's just a black button, but it does look nice. So there you go. And for a size comparison, there it is next to the Takara Tomy MP13 Soundwave. It does look good next to him. Now we can take the tapes out of this guy. This is a wrap bat here, and it will fit in here. These are actually toleranced better. It's just kind of silly, but their own tape doesn't fit, but the Takara tapes fit just great. The Fans Toys tapes will not fit. They're a little bit too tight, and I wouldn't want to scratch the paint on those anyways because the tolerance is so tight. But you can put Takara tapes in here, so if you have older blaster tapes, you know, G1 tapes, you can put them in there. But there you go for comparison. Looks pretty nice. And for one more fun little comparison, here he is next to the mini blaster we got with the Masterpiece tracks. I would say it looks pretty darn close. It's got the black details, the red details. Everything kind of looks like it should. So there you go. So final thoughts on the Deformation Space Recording Alliance. Let's start with the positives. I think it looks really nice in both the robot mode and in the alt mode. The painted surfaces and the overall articulation, sculpt, detail, all of that just screams blaster. It really is blaster. I do like the accessories. I think the gun itself looks good. The speakers here are nicely done. The tape is okay. I do like the ram horn mode. I think it's one of the better ram horns we've gotten to date. But it's lacking a little bit of paint. I think it could have stand to have a little bit more paint. The other problem with this is when you get into tape mode, and tape mode is fine too, the transformation is kind of fun, but getting it in here is a nightmare, and getting out of there is a nightmare. And actually, I wouldn't do it again because I don't want to risk breaking it. The tolerance is so tight that it's kind of risking, you know, doing damage to this, you know, whether it's the little pieces on the horns or the tail or something else. By the way, I forgot to mention, this does have an extra piece of articulation here. The neck will go up and down there. So if you want to articulate that, you can. But because it's such a tight tolerance, I just would be careful, and I probably wouldn't do that again. I had to do it for the review, but I'm not going to do it again. The other negative is the paint. The paint is a matte paint, so it will scuff up, so you do have to be careful with that. So that's just a precaution. I don't have an issue with it. I don't have any, you can see, I pretty much don't have any issues right now. But as you transform it, as you manipulate it, just be careful with that matte paint. So that's really it for today. I do recommend it. I think it is the best blaster we've had to date. But we will do the verses with KFC just so I can take a little bit more of an objective look. That's kind of my subjective opinion, is this is the best blaster. But we'll see when we take a look at the KFC. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.